What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. As always, I am PK, alongside my co-host Phil. Episode 382. 18 more weeks until we hit 400, give or take a few, because we might be going to 2 shows depending on the NLL schedule, which we'll be talking about shortly. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. If anybody ever uses Blue Sky anymore, I don't know. Who knows if it's still a thing. It was a thing for a hot minute. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube. We got some things in the works that we're going to be adding to YouTube in the near future. Producer Pat, once you get back from London, you got some projects to do. Check our website at buffalosportscollective.com. There's also going to be work getting done over there. Once again, Producer Pat, get back from London, you got work to do. And then look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show, as we do every off-season show, just starting this year, first time. Phil, what did you do this last week since we last spoke on this podcast?
Yeah, before diving into that, I feel like Producer Pat is like, he's taking that one last vacation before he really gears it up for the start of the regular season and dials it in, so we're ready for our show advancement. I feel like every year I usually take a something in October, a week to do, either stay at home or go somewhere, because that is usually before my personal Q4 ramp up where I work. So I feel like that's what Pat is doing as well. He's just taking that one last vacation, get it out of the off season, and then he'll come back and hit the ground running. But as for me, last weekend, I have been slowly, I think I've talked about this quite a bit on this show.
Yep.
But my driveway in general is big. It's very big. It's a big driveway. It's long. At least for where I live, which is pretty residential with very tiny driveways. I have a very long driveway that then splits out into like a 3-wide setup. So I'm slowly chipping away at pressure washing it. It is taking a long time. The other problem is that it's no longer all downhill, if that makes sense. So a lot of times the dirty water that I'm getting off, I have to then switch attachments and blow all the dirty water off to the side, because it's just sitting there on top of the clean cement doing absolutely nothing. It's not just nicely flowing down the driveway, so it takes extra long, but I've been slowly chipping away. I got, I would say, about half the driveway done now. It's looking much, much better. We got our outdoor Halloween decorations up, so that is very exciting. And then we went to our buddies Sunday night for a little bonfire and friendly gathering, and that was a good time as well.
Yeah, I can check that one off my list of things I got to mention, because I was also in attendance for that one.
I saw PK there.
Let's see. We get the porch done. Oh, mostly done. I get the railings for the porch complete, except for the railing down the stairs.
Are we staying in it? That's the question.
We're going to do that next year.
All right.
I know you're supposed to wait to do it for a year or something like that. So that and the fence are going to get all stained by the wife next year. That's on the docket.
Very nice.
I got the grass seed down. I had to rebuild up we got a little patio area, and then it slopes down to where the porch is now, and that all got dug up when I had to build the porch, so I had to build it back up and then lay topsoil and grass down. I'm trying to get the grass growing before the winter hits. Fingers crossed. Little things are popping up when I'm watering today, so fingers crossed. This weekend, I rented a giant stump grinder for, if everybody listens back to like the March, April, May, whenever I cut it down. Maybe it was June, it was July when I got hit in the eye. So it was June and July when I was chopping down the forest. All the stumps got left behind, and that's where the ditch kind of is that my neighbor's kind of carving out for us, because we share a ditch back there. And he goes, hey, if you want me to do the ditch, I can do the ditch for you too. I was like, oh yeah. He goes, you just got to get rid of all the stumps. So I was planning on getting rid of all the stumps anyways. A couple trees that we knocked down in the front yard and the backyard, got rid of those big stumps too. So stumps are gone. Don't have to worry about that.
Two questions before you move on.
Yes.
I know of stump grinders, but it's essentially like a wood chipper. Is that the idea?
Pretty much. Wood chipper for stumps.
Okay. And then 2, why do we need a ditch? What is a ditch for?
So there's a ditch in the back field that separates the back field from my backyard pretty much. So in the springtime, we're giving all the runoff a place to go.
Okay.
So it'll
I got
go
you,
to
I
all the
got
low
you.
spots.
All right.
So we got a ditch back there. And then my neighbor did warn me because my neighbor, his family owned this house, and then they bought the lot next to it, tore down the barn, and he built his house. So he's been there for years. He's been living, this was a whole family community right here. His father and mother moved on, and then they put this house up for sale. So me and Brooke bought it.
You swooped in and broke up the family.
Yeah, we broke up the family, and there's going to be no kids here, so the family's going to die here. But there's a nice open, like, lot area, like, well-maintained. There's trees and stuff in between our two houses. That's all mine. And what he warned me, he goes, "Are you ready for the leaf season?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm always ready for leaf season. Like, I like doing outdoor stuff. It's no big deal." He goes, "No, you don't understand what this is going to entail." And I was like, yeah, right. Like, I've dealt with my grandma's house. She lived in Wheatfield. So many leaves. It's no big deal. I underestimated the power of the leaves here. I have so many trees still, even though I cut down a whole forest. My God, Phil, I went through and mulched all the leaves on my riding lawnmower yesterday. I came home from work today. It's like I did nothing. Like, there wasn't a single leaf on the ground when I got done at 4 p.m. on Monday. I come home from work on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. I look out there. There's leaves everywhere. Like, it's not like I raked them into a pile. They were gone. Like, I mulched them perfectly. And I'm looking up at the trees. I'm like, holy crap, there's still so many leaves up there. So this is going to be like a every other day, every third day type of thing where I got to take out the lawnmower. I got to mulch it up because if I get behind, there's no way I'm catching up. It's just... Yeah. I underestimate. I love the trees. I love the shade. It's like, you've seen it. It's a nice little, it's a nice setup.
It is. It's a good setup.
Fall time is elite season, but holy cow, it's a leaf party over at my house. So if you got a rake, you got a lawnmower, and you want to come over to PK's house, feel free. Won't stop you. Just mulch as you go. Even if you got a push mower, that works too. Because I was doing the ditches on Sunday, and whoo, baby, that was a lot of leaves down there too. So yeah, you got the driveway problems. I got the leaf problems. So at least when yours is done. Mine is just going to keep going. And they did warn me because sadly, they were gone for a week and then they come home and their whole kitchen ceiling had caved in because water damage. So yeah, that was an issue. But when I was over there helping them, they go, yeah, that big tree that you got in the backyard, those leaves don't even fall until the snow starts falling. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm in for this for 3 months. So I didn't know what I signed up for there. I knew signing up for 11 acres was going to be a lot of work. I just wasn't prepared for the amount of leaves. I should have. I saw the trees ahead of time. But yeah, leaf party over at PK's. Bring a rake if you want.
Yeah, do what the Bills do when it snows too much and they get everybody together to plow out the stadium. That's what you got.
I'll give you tickets in front of my TV to watch a Bills game.
How about just do it during the Bills game and just have it on in the back?
Yeah, it'll be in the background. I'll do something for you. Oh, there you go. But another party happened down in the Bills country, Bills Mafia. Highmark. There we go. Got to
Orchard
it.
Park.
Nailed it. Orchard Park. Buffalo Rare 1 p.m. Sunday game. Absolutely loved it. It was beneficial because there was also a game prior. It was a pretty boring game, and I didn't watch it. We were antiquing. There you go, Phil. I did look for your firebombs. I didn't see any. I did look for them, though.
They're tough.
They're tough to find. I found out that firsthand on Sunday. But got home, watched the game, loved it, because then you got to go out and do other things, like the fire we went to. But Buffalo wins 31-19. Allen, thank you. Fantasy. It's going to be a fantasy check-in. And Cook continues to make me look like an idiot when I said don't pay running backs. Still stand by it, but he might be one of the very few exceptions that you do want to pay. Shakir came out of nowhere. I thought this game, as much as I like to say get the win, move on, and that is a good thing, and that is something that we preach on the show often, like, as long as you get the win, in the end, that's all that matters. And that's very true. In the end, they got the win. They moved to 4-0. That's all that matters. But man, was there a lot of negatives that we're going to be talking about this. So don't hear we're not saying very happy they got the win, but that does not exclude them for being... How did we put this perfectly? How did I say it to you? Do you remember how I put it to you on Monday?
I'll look it up because it was
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah, I somebody summed it up that there was issues and being negative
I would
is
say,
a
why can't I
problem.
even think of his name? It's the main guy
Oh,
for CBA,
yeah, yeah,
Angry
yeah, yeah,
Runs.
from
Yeah, like
Good Morning Football or
yeah,
whatever it is.
Angry Runs, and I don't know why I can't. I'm blanking on his name for some
Yeah, I
reason.
can't. I went to his Bison's game where he had a bobblehead too. It's over there on my shelf. I can't remember his name. But
Anyway,
yeah, Phil's still
that
looking
guy.
for this.
I
Okay,
am. I
he's
don't.
got
We
it.
talk a lot. Is the problem?
Yeah, we do talk a lot about the show, but like we're gonna say, we're gonna be talking about a
Oh,
lot of
too
bad,
far.
but there was a lot of good in this one that we'll hit on as well. But we're happy they're 4-0. They defeated a team they needed to win against, and in the end, that's all that matters. They're moving on to Week 5 where they face the Patriots, and I thought, in short, this was a game where I was never really concerned about the end result. I figured Buffalo was going to get the win no matter what. I was just in the camp of this looks uglier than it needs to be.
All right. So, I'll still have to find his name because I got to click on the link. But PK said,
Kyle Brandt, got it.
"Thank you." Bills, I hate the way they run the offense. I don't think it's entertaining, but it's proven to win. But the things that need to be improved haven't yet.
Yeah, that's how I summed it up.
And that was my problem with even last week. Like I am getting out of the mentality. I think it's because I've watched too much, or just mildly. I don't watch them, but I've mildly paid attention too much to the Ravens, who crush everybody and run up the score and have fun. And I wanted
Not
a little
this
bit of
year.
that. No, and even Kyle mentioned that as well. He's like, look at the Ravens; they got all the stats, but they are 1-3. Stats don't matter. And I agree. Like, if you win a close game or 31-19, the final score looks fine. Like that to me, that's a good win. 31-19, I don't care who you're playing, that's a fine win. But the way they got the win in this one was disgusting. And like sometimes you can have ugly wins, but you shouldn't against a now 0-4 team. And the biggest thing to me was the penalties were just horrendous. The things that a Super Bowl contending team, I understand it's week 4, but you're professional athletes, you're a professional football team. You shouldn't be getting 11 penalties in a game, number one. You shouldn't have only 10 players on the field for a 2-point conversion. Bosa shouldn't be
Again,
jogging
it's
off
not
the
the
field.
first time this has happened under Sean McDermott. It's insane.
Right. And like it's just the little things that annoy me. Like if you play a solid, good game of football and you win 31-19, I don't need you to win 50-19. I don't need you to win 31-6 or 31-3. Like if you go out there and play a solid, relatively flawless game, yes, you're going to have penalties. Yes, there's going to be mistakes, but the way they just played this game, it was so ugly. And even the Miami game, to me, was uglier than it needed to be. Both games, you kind of got away with a running into the punter situation that kind of saved your game. In this game, you could tell how angry Allen was of how poorly the team was playing when he just took it upon himself at one point and just like, all right, forget you guys. I'm just going to do this myself. And every time he had that big play, you could see just in his face the anger, the excitement. Like, yes, winning is fun, but this isn't a game where Allen needs to be like getting hyped up about, and he was because the team was just playing bad. And you could even see it on his touchdown. I feel like he was like, I don't care what's happening on the field. I'm running this in. I want a touchdown. I'm going to do this. And then his huge long run and then his later touchdown pass. It all seemed like he was just so over what was happening on the field for the Bills in general. Just, I don't know. It's again, I don't care about the score. I'm happy they got the win, but it's how they got it. It was just kind of gross. And then one of the biggest issues they've had all year long, which they did absolutely nothing to reassure you, is their run defense, which, my goodness, is it going to be a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, I'll continue to say regular season to me doesn't mean much when it comes to what seed you get, what your record
Right.
is. They're going to be in the playoffs. You're probably going to be a playoff team every single season that Josh Allen is your quarterback, that he plays the entire season. That's a foregone conclusion. All that matters to me is how you perform in the playoffs. And what is glaring to me is the issues that are arising in the regular season have been the issues that arise in the playoffs. And that seems like that hasn't been corrected. Again, I'm not going to harp on Sean McDermott. He just got his 90th career win. I think it was the quickest a coach has ever done that in his career. hats off to you. But for somebody that claims and has been told that he is so detail oriented, how many times are you going to have to call a timeout on defense because your defense is out of sorts? A 2-point conversion, you have 10 players on the field. That shouldn't happen. That's happened too often. Remember versus Denver a couple years ago, they had 10 guys on the field versus a field goal. What is going on here? Or no, I'm sorry, that was 12 guys on the field. That was a missed kick, and it was a penalty, so they had to kick again, and they won it. That was the situation there. Again, can't count to 11, don't get it. That might go on to the special teams guy. They might go on to the defensive coordinator. They might go on to the players. But in the end, you're the head coach. You're the one that coaches up this. You're the one that detail-oriented, prepare for every situation. You got to count to 11. I'll go over the positives first. Shakir brought back his pinball move. My God, he had 2 broken tackles, spun away from another one, 43-yard touchdown, absolutely chef's kiss. The tight ends, while they might not be able to catch, they are elite blockers. Kincaid, for everything that I might want to give him for being a first-round draft pick that isn't really panning out to be a difference maker in this, his blocking this season has taken elite levels. And I want to give Jackson Hawes some applause for that, because I think that's rubbing off on Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. He is an elite blocker who's also got hands. Really think that you're going to start seeing Jackson Hawes take over that role of Dawson Knox. And I think Dawson Knox is making his way to be a healthy scratch eventually sometime this season.
And also off the team next year.
Yeah, it's possible depending on what the numbers look like with the cap game. Walker, elite in the run game. I know they got shredded a few times in this one, but if there's one part of his game that he has excelled in every single time he steps on that field, it's the run game. He is a massive human being, and I think he is taking over what we were hoping that TJ Sanders was going to be, and
yes.
and I think he is absolutely fantastic right now. Allen taking over in the fourth quarter, kind of just putting it on his own shoulders. That one drive that he had, everything was on him. The big run, the big pass to Dalton Kincaid, absolutely fantastic. And then Bishop. We have given him a hard time for not being able to stay healthy and how he's looked. He is getting more and more confidence. He's played so physical in this game. Absolutely love the type of safety that he's becoming, and I think he's becoming that safety that Buffalo envisioned when they did draft him in the second round a couple years ago.
And they need him.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, completely agree with everything you said. I thought Coleman did a good job when he was asked to do a good job. I think the big thing with him,
he can be
that's what I was gonna
relied
say.
upon wide receiver when his name is called.
And I just don't think it ever will be, and it's nothing against the talent he is. I think that's just not how Buffalo will ever really play. I know they did earlier in that when he got all those targets and needed to make the big plays, he was able to make them down the stretch against the Ravens and did really, really well. So like you said, like if the game calls for it, if they're in a game where against like maybe KC or the Eagles and it's going to be a little bit more high flying, they need to keep up with someone, I think you'll see him have those big games. But in these games where he's just not needed per se because you're doing a pretty good job, I think he'll go out there and do his 3 for 45 on 4 targets is fantastic. That's not a bad game by any means. I think it's a very reasonable thing to expect from a guy in that situation. Like you said, you already mentioned it earlier, but Cook looks really, really good. The O-line looked a little shaky in this one and worried me a bit with how much Allen was getting pressured for an offensive line that is supposed to be pretty elite and has seemingly been pretty elite for the most part. But the times that they were able to block and get Cook those holes and get him to that second level where he can do what he does best, he had a really, really good game.
Yeah, the offensive line, I think, you can see how valuable Spencer Brown is for this offensive line. And, man, well done, Brandon Beane. You might not be able to build a defensive line, but the offensive lineman that you built together, paying Spencer Brown before he kind of took off, he's an extreme discount, but you see how important he is, so he needs to get back and be healthy, because no shot at Ryan Vandermark, but you got burned a couple times setting up. Allen got sacked 3 times. I don't remember the last time that's happened.
Right, exactly.
Joey Bosa, I want to see what he looks like when he's playing 40% of snaps instead of the 60-65 he's been playing, because the angles that he was taking in the run game and on Spencer Rattler, it was just bad
I'll
angles
say
in the rush
he's
game
great
whatsoever.
at getting to the
Yes.
player and then has
He's not
no idea
finishing.
what to do,
Yeah.
and he's not fast enough to keep up when they go around, but he just keeps letting him just go literally right around him, which great players will, but he just lets it every single time it's happening to him. Like, he's got to force him back inside, and he's not doing that at all. Like, he's doing such a good job getting there, and he's like, yes, I'm here, and then they just run around him. He's like, dang it, there he goes.
Yeah, he's the equivalent of the fastest route is a straight line, but in football, sometimes it's not. Missed tackling in general was just bad. The one drive where Keandre Miller scored, I mean, he broke how many tackles? It was a poor tackling experience all day long. I thought White was up and down, and you kind of saw that by him getting subbed out multiple times with Dorian Strong coming in. I think the CB2 position is wide open, and I wouldn't have envisioned that with Dorian Strong and Max Hairston and Ingram as the backups. I felt like Sean McDermott was going to rely on Tre'Davious White until he physically couldn't. I'm not saying that White is cooked. I think we talked about this at the fire. He is a very good cornerback for what he was signed to be. And I think they're asking him to do more than he is able to do at this point, which, again, is not a shot at Tre'Davious White. I know everybody loves Tre'Davious White. I get it. But I just feel like Max Hairston is going to play a much bigger role with this team than I thought in preseason when I saw Tre'Davious White playing very well. I thought he was going to be a very reliable one that could ease Hairston in. I think once Hairston's ready to go, I think they activate him, and he's right into the starting lineup, in my opinion.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, wasting timeouts on defense, kind of already talked about that one originally. It's just, that's what you get when you got a defensive coordinator as your head
And again,
coach.
that's the stuff that, like, it has to be cleaned up. Again, winning games is great. During the season, nothing really matters. I completely get that. But that's the annoying stuff that, like, every week that should be flawless. Like, you shouldn't be having wasted timeouts. You shouldn't be having 10 guys on the field in situations like that's the little stuff that you should not have any breakdowns in and week out. That's just very basic, fundamental football. And when you get to playoffs, if you have those situations and you're burning those timeouts that you need later in the game, like, it's going to bite you. Again, 4 weeks in, but these are just very basic things. I don't care what year it is, what week you're in, like, they should not be happening.
Yeah, and the last one, some of the offensive play calling in this one was very questionable. I've learned now in the 2.5 years with Joe Brady, he's going to have 2 to 3 drives every single game that is going to want to have you drill your head through a cinder block wall. I mean, that fourth down call to Shakir, even if Vandermark doesn't get tripped up and makes that block, Shakir ain't making that.
No.
Here's a smart idea. Take the football out of your MVP quarterback's hands and give it to a wide receiver in the backfield on a handoff that's 5'10". Great idea. That play should be thrown in the garbage big time. I mean, I will give Joe Brady credit. Hands down, he has come up with some flawless execution. That pass to Dalton Kincaid, that drop, fantastic. He's had some very fun designs, but I feel like there's been too many times where he either gets too cute or thinks he's smarter than the other head coach or offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, and kind of outsmarts himself. And there's been too many times where the run game is going perfectly, and for some reason they go against it. And sometimes where Josh Allen is just heating up, and then they go back to the run game. It just, nothing makes sense. Like, he's getting too cute sometimes that I think is going to end up costing them at some point. It's so many small things that add up to the bigger things. And again, they win 31-19. They're 4-0. It's looking all good. But that doesn't negate them. It's kind of like the Buffalo Bandits when we talk about them, because we're a Bandits-centric show. We have such a high standard for them that if it was any other team, really, there wouldn't be nitpicking. But because the standard is so high and we have to raise the standard that it's Super Bowl or bust. Like, it's not just making it to the AFC Championship game. It's not just making it to the Super Bowl. It's winning the Super Bowl or bust, or it's a failed season to me, especially at this point in Josh Allen's career. He's 29 already. I mean, you got to get something here. I think it's not nitpicking. It's you need to raise them to a certain standard, so when it comes to playoff time, you're not worried about these situations again.
Yeah, exactly. Like a team like the Titans, the Texans, the Jets, the Dolphins, all 0-3 headed into this week. Like if they win 31-19 and it's really ugly, they're thrilled. They got to
Yeah.
win. That's all that matters. Like they're like, yes, we did it. And everything's like everything about that game, no matter how bad it is glowing. You're like, oh, we finally got to win. This is amazing. That's not the standard you have for the Bills anymore. It's just you're going to have a great season, so it's going to come down to very nitpicky things, which are kind of annoying to be harping on, but that's the standard of where you're at with the Bills now and their AFC East championships and trying to get to the Super Bowl. And like you said, Super Bowl or bust. That's just the standard they're set at right now. And because of that, you're going to be nitpicking games that much closer that these things can't happen on your way to a Super Bowl. They need to be fixed now and gotten out of their system.
So we'll look around the league now. We'll go over the
Some big losses.
Yeah, there's some fantastic losses here for the Buffalo Bills here. We'll go over the next game, which is Sunday Night Football once again versus the Patriots on the next show. But we'll start in London. The London Brits over there. That was a terrible
was
accent.
terrible.
Sorry.
It was really bad.
Steelers take down the Vikings 24-21. Oh, God, it was such an ugly game. 3-1 the Steelers are now, and I stand by it, and I said it then. And I've said it on the podcast. Mike Tomlin's never winning another Super Bowl. He's a bad head coach. He brings out the best of the players that he has, but he's a bad head coach. That punt, when they're in their own zone on fourth down, it's just an example. If you were facing any other quarterback besides Carson Wentz, it'd be a loss. Lions 34-10, dropping the Browns to 1-3. They're kind of irrelevant at this point. Patriots big win over the Panthers, one of the worst teams in football, maybe the worst one. 42-13, moving to 2-2. Chargers they drop a wonderful game. Thank you, Jackson Dart and Brian Dable. 21-18, dropping the Chargers to 3-1. 2 0-3 teams. Texans shut out the Titans 26-0. They moved to 1-3. Titans are 0-4. Jags 2-1. They moved to 3-1 with a 26-21 victory over the 49ers. Colts going in 3-0. They lose 27-20 versus the Rams, dropping them to 3-1. Ravens versus Chiefs. This was an important one. Chiefs win 37-20, moving to 2-2, dropping the Ravens to 1-3, and it sounds like Lamar Jackson's out for the next 2 to 3 weeks. They might be
They're
cooked.
in trouble.
Bears win 25-24, dropping the Raiders to 1-3 on a block kick. Special teams this year, Phil, is mind-numbing. Miami gets the win, but they lose Tyreek Hill. Possibly Tyreek Hill might be done for his career. I don't wish injury
happier.
I do not wish injury to anybody, but he doesn't seem like a good person, so I'm not.
I still can't get over. Like I know this is just the antics of him and everything that's been going on, but like I personally can't imagine the amount of pain someone's in going through what he ended up going through, and for him to just be clapping, smiling, and like thanking the situation that he's out of Miami and possibly done for his career. It, like again, just the amount of pain that must be going through his knee, and all he's thinking about is, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Thank goodness I am done. Like it's just wild to me. I just cannot fathom having those thoughts in that situation. But hey, good on him. He's got Super Bowls, I guess.
Yeah, Miami moves to 1-3. Jets 0-4. Jets are dumpster fire, man. That's just disgusting.
Yes.
And then the Bengals somehow are 2-2, even after dropping 28-3 versus Denver. Cincinnati is cooked. They're done again. They're not making playoffs. Yep. It's over. And I don't even blame Browning. I don't blame the wide receivers. I don't blame Chase Brown. That offensive line, nobody can do anything behind that offensive line. They're so bad.
I loved watching. I mean, if anybody listening hasn't watched some of the offensive line play of them from even this last week, it is hilariously bad. I mean, there was one play I watched, and this one guy just let 2 defensive players go right through him. He like went to double team somebody else, missed him, and let another guy go right through. And it was just, it's just comically bad. I think there was one play where they said there was like 4-on-3, and all 4 of them went to one player.
Yeah.
And yeah, the 4 went to 1, and the 2 got through. Like it's wild, but fantastic to watch when you're not a Bengals fan.
So Buffalo got a bunch of losses to round, so they are one of only 2 undefeated teams in the NFL, along with Philly, and that means they're number 1 in the AFC.
Good.
Got a lot of room, dropping the Ravens to 1-3, and Lamar Jackson was massive.
I like the Nomar.
Yeah, I think having the Chiefs get that win was. I don't know if I would have rather have the Ravens get the win and move to 2-2 because Buffalo's got the win advantage over them, or the Chiefs getting to 2-2 because you still get a head-to-head against them. But yeah, I mean Chargers and
Ravens
Colts.
to win that one.
Chargers and Colts dropping. That's big. That's big.
Big for the
across
Bills.
the NFL. So that'll conclude the Bills segment here. We'll talk about Sunday Night Football versus the Patriots on the next show. But before we dive into the second half of our episode, we'll dive into our first and only sponsor of the show. If you've listened to this show at any point in the last, 18, 19 months, something like that, Tap That Tap Room sounds familiar, and they're still at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. It's Buffalo's first woman-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps. Once again, if you listened before, you know what they offer, but I'm going to preach it again if you're listening the first time. They offer beers, ciders, sours, seltzers, and malt beverages for you to partake in.
All right, well, PK stole my whole shtick.
Did I really? My bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you haven't listened to this
I didn't
show
even read what
before,
you had. My bad.
That's all right.
Skip past what I just said.
That's, once again, we're on the same wavelengths despite not discussing this at all. But if you are new to the show and you do not know what kind of weekly events Tap That Tap Room has, on Wednesday night they have trivia with Geeks Who Drink starting at 7:30. Friday there's happy hour from 3 to 7 with the entire beer wall discounted, and then DJ Nightlight from Friday from 7 to midnight. And then on Sunday there's a Bills watch party for the Sunday night game against the Patriots. Could be a big one, with a free-to-enter halftime jersey giveaway plus $6 Twisted Tea and Angry Orchard all game long. To see what other events are coming up, you can check out their Facebook page, and to see what's on tap and what's on deck, you can check out tapthattaproom.com because they have something
for everyone. TM still waiting to get paid. I really didn't read what you said. I was like, I'll just shake this up a little bit. And we always read it the same way. It's, oops. So on our next show, Sabre season is coming up next Thursday. We'll go over our 3 bold predictions. And then we're kind of going to go into incognito mode for the Sabres. We'll do it like once a week, once every other week, depending on how they're doing. Maybe we'll expand the coverage if they're playing really well, but we won't do that until January because we're not being tricked again. So if you have any interest in the Sabres or our bold predictions that we do every year, come back next Wednesday because we'll be giving our 3 bold predictions on that episode. Move on. If you haven't known, the CBA from last season, I believe it is now officially expired. The 3-year CBA that they signed, I believe, expired October 1st. It's now October 1st, so they don't have a CBA, I believe. Again, these are all rumors. Everything's swirling out there. Everybody's looking for the next rumor. Who knows what to believe, but we're just going to keep spilling out the rumors because there's nothing else really to go on. And this is per last class. John Arlotta was on with Jake on Wednesday? Last Wednesday. And since our episode drops on Wednesday as well, we didn't get to discuss this, but he's the owner and GM over in Georgia. He said that things are going good. He thinks things are going okay. It does sound like the bulk of what both sides want is known and understood by both sides. And I think for the most part, they're seeing eye to eye on most things, and it sounds like it's a lot of the details that need to get worked out. Now, what those details could be, who knows? There's also been rumors floating around that this is the next biggest CBA, that if the league does pop off, this CBA is the big culmination of the reason why. There's also rumors out there that there could be new, what did Adam tweet out the other day? That if you love coverage on the league, there could be new things. There's plenty of other rumors going on right now. There's not really a ton of information out there on the CBA. My question to you on the CBA right now is, with training camp scheduled to start at the end of October, and the league is scheduled to start the week of Thanksgiving, which is the end of November, we're like less than 2 months away from the season kicking off. When is your due date of when the CBA needs to be signed for us not to miss any games? And again, this is just 2 podcasters talking. This is not any inside information. This is just based on the rumors and everything that we have in front of us. When is your due date of when they need to have the CBA signed and wrapped up for the league to start on time.
Yeah, it sounds like basically now. The biggest thing, if people don't know and haven't listened, they also Jake Elliott also did the interview with Dietrich, which we'll get into some more of the Bandit stuff. But as far as the CBA stuff, he also didn't have a ton of information. But the big thing that seems to be out there is the player visas, and getting the player visas takes a long time. It takes, I think he said, like 4 to 6 weeks. And if you're talking training camp at the end of October, then playing games a month later, like you got to start getting that stuff worked out now, like pretty much now, like right now. So I think honestly they are very quickly running out of time. I would say I don't know. It seems like worst case scenario, if you do a shorter training camp, shorter exhibition, you can probably still, like, how much, that's the big thing. Like, how much time does a team need to prepare before the season starts? Like, can they get rid of exhibition games this year because they're doing the CBA? Like, how much training camp do they need for these guys? Like, the biggest thing to me, which we've seen a lot in the NFL with more holdouts than anything, is a lot of times when players hold out until the end of training camp, they sit out all the offseason activities, they end up getting injured in those first few weeks because their bodies aren't ready, they didn't ramp up, they didn't train enough, and it's different. And I think for the NLL, it's the same thing. Like, at some point, you're going to start risking players to be injured if you're trying to start the season on time, but also have a very abrupt training camp. And I mean, this is already a situation where these players aren't in, 7 days a week. They're getting 1, 2, 3 practices a week at best during preseason. So these players need time to be with their team, to ramp up their activity. And even if you take exhibition games out, I think you're really starting to push what time you have. I would say, again, to me personally, I would say at best you're looking at 2 weeks, I think, is like your max. And after that, I think you're seriously looking at pushing it back or risking player safety, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have October 15th. That's
2
in
weeks.
2 weeks. I think that's the latest you can go without jeopardizing the start of the season because, like Chugger said on the episode, it's the visas that's really the big issue. Because originally I was thinking, okay, free agency, you're probably going to want at least a week or two before training camp opens to get guys signed.
Free agency alone is a good point.
Yeah, you don't even know. He said on the show he doesn't even know who is going to be on his team right now. And I guess we can tie that in that he doesn't know if Matt Vince is going to be back. And when he does hang it up, he's going to go in the front office, which is another conversation. That's a fun little detail that he spilled on there. But it comes down to I wasn't even thinking the work visas. Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks to get those done. And that means playing in the U.S. and Canada. And it's insane the amount of work that players need to get done here. And that's why, again, without knowing but hearing the rumors, why wasn't the CBA being talked about last offseason? Like, even just sharing, these are our agendas, and then talking once a month leading up to this. Maybe it was getting done, but from what I was hearing, that wasn't really getting done. That didn't really start getting talked. Whether you want to blame the players, the owners, whoever you want to talk about. This is what we talked about, and we were going through this before the show even started. Like, I mean, we were going through a contract negotiation with CBA right out of COVID. Like, there was 1 year, and then the CBA needed to be re-signed. I mean, this whole CBA was under Buffalo's regime here. Like, they won all 3 titles in this last CBA. This is, in my opinion, going to be the most important CBA because you cannot miss a season. You cannot delay a start of a season. Last year, you had a team fold. The last 2 seasons, you've had 2 teams move. I mean,
and if it doesn't sound very good for a couple other teams.
Yeah, you lose this momentum, it's not a good thing. And that's why I keep going back to they need to have a fallback plan. Yes, it's important to look for a 3 to 5 year deal, but they need at least a 1 year extension that, okay, if we do not reach something by this certain point, let's sign a 1 year extension of the current CBA. Sorry, I got a hair in my throat. That both sides might not like the current CBA the former CBA from the last 3 years, but at least you will not be losing paychecks. You will not be losing teams. You will not be losing players because everything I'm hearing, if there's no season, there's at least 1 to 3 teams that ain't coming back. I mean, that's as simple as that. There needs to be a fallback option where if we do not have a deal signed by October 15th, I'm just tossing that out again, we'll sign a 1 year extension under the same CBA, and then we'll continue to talk.
Right. Yep.
That next offseason, we got something locked in, ready to go by June, by July. It's that simple to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as NFL rookie contracts. PK wants that fifth-year option. Sign it ahead of time if you need to. And like you said, like, if they didn't start talking about this last summer, that extra option year gives you exactly what you're looking for. You talk about it for a whole off season very seriously, like, we need to get this done. But if it doesn't happen, you have that fifth-year option. At the same time, you have, okay, this is what everyone's bringing. This is what we're looking at. This is the framework of a deal. We just need to work out the details throughout the season or early in the next offseason to carry that CBA much sooner. And these things, again, we have no idea what happens behind closed doors. This is a very, very big thing for both owners and players. I get it. It's a huge deal. Like, we're not trying to downplay what the CBA is. It's a very, very big deal for everybody involved. But at the same time, this stuff always seems to be pushed until the very last second that it possibly can. And like you just mentioned, and I completely agree, I don't think this league can handle a shortened season, a canceled season. Like, any revenue that they lose from this is going to be very painful for everybody. And any momentum they have, they need to keep it rolling because, like you already said, you've lost a few teams. It sounds like Philly is not looking too good in the future. We'll see. It's all rumors. Who knows? Maybe they'll figure it out, but it doesn't sound great for Philly either. So right now, like, you had a ton of momentum recently with some expansion things, but now you've had a lot of moves. You've had teams drop out. You might have to move or possibly lose another team. Like, it seems like it's going the wrong way. And sometimes you have to go the wrong way, not to get better, but just to lock in the teams that you can really hold on to and make a league out of. But at the same time, I just don't think, I mean, we talked about this with the lockout for COVID, that we didn't think the NLL was going to come back at all. Like, it was very scary after the COVID shortened season and then the canceled season of, I don't know if the NLL can survive a canceled season. And here we are again with either a shortened or possible canceled season. I don't think it'll happen because I think both sides understand that you cannot allow that to happen. But it depends on how dug in everybody is for what they want. Maybe it will, and maybe we'll see a shortened season, which, again, to me, any games that you cut from the season is just lost revenue, and I think that hurts the league as a whole. So hopefully they figure it out soon, but they need to figure it out soon.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll add, and I think I've been very complimentary towards Brett Fruit. I've liked a ton of the stuff he's done. There's been some minor things that I've critiqued, but for overall, I think he's been a very good addition and a very good commissioner for this league. I think he sees the views of the players. It seems like he's well liked by the players, and I think he is looking long-term and short-term at the league, which I think is big because previous commissioner was kind of just looking to expand it and make it as big as possible rather than look at the health and the safety of the current teams that are there. I think he's got a good foundation. But to me, this is where he leaves his mark on this league. If there is and I'm not blaming him for the lost team. I'm not blaming him for Panther City. That was a tough situation to be placed on because it's not something that he wasn't about expanding. Thank goodness
you didn't lose Rochester.
Yeah, he was big on getting a buyer for Rochester. He was big on moving Albany, that clearly wasn't working, to Oshawa, where we're hoping it's working. Gets New York out of New York, and it seems like he's moving teams to locations that seem like they're going to fit. I've liked the NLL Plus. I've liked a lot of the things that he's doing for this league and the long-term and short-term aspect of it. But this is where you leave your mark. If you miss a season here, that's where your legacy is going to be known. Whether it's his complete fault or not, you cannot have a lost season because there might not be a league to come back to if there is not a season. And I'm not talking doomsday. It does sound things are progressing. It does sound things are going nicely. It does sound like the owner side of it is going to be presenting a deal this week. Who knows when, whatever. But if he does not get a deal done between the players and the owners, that's what his legacy is going to be known for, whether that's good or bad for him, whether that's his fault or not. This is his moment right here, and this is his Super Bowl right here. He needs to get this done without losing any games or the season in general.
I think the biggest talking point is most likely they're trying to make sure the Bandits can't win under the CBA, and I get where they're coming from, and I understand the pushback from whoever runs it for the Bandits not wanting that to happen. But they swept the last CBA, so we'll see if they can sweep another one.
Very fair. I apologize if you're watching YouTube and I can't edit this stuff out. I am having a coughing spit. There's like a scratch in my throat I can't get rid of. But last thing on here with Chugger. We talked about Matt Vince. He doesn't know if he's going to be returning. He believes that if Matt Vince does return, everybody will trickle back. But if Vince does not return, what happens to Cal Buchanan, Paul Dawson? Does Kluch wants to come back? Chase Frazier and so forth, so back. So it all comes down to Matt Vince, which is kind of what we already assumed. Also, talking about the draft, where we mentioned Caleb Kahn was the goaltender, almost said wide receiver, goaltender that we were looking at in the first round. It does sound like they were also down to Caleb Kahn and Waukegan Shoganosh. It sounds like they went Shoganosh because he's East Coast over West Coast. That's pretty much what he said verbatim. And he is very high on both goaltenders. But what I also loved what he said was, if you do not have a top-tier goaltender, you're not going to win in this league. And they're preparing for the future. That is one thing that Steve Dietrich has done this entire time as a GM, this entire time during their run, is he's playing impressive for the now while also replacing the now with the future, where guys can slide right in and you do not miss a beat. I think that's what Shoganosh and Evan Konstantinopoulos, their plan for those two are to slide right in when the time does come, because I'm not saying that word. I'm not using the word with Matt Vince.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, and we already talked about this a lot with the draft, and I still personally don't understand. Again, maybe, I'm just a guy behind a mic, but the other teams around the league that don't have that guaranteed goalie and aren't going out of their way to draft a potential future number one goalie, I don't get it with what we've seen with Matt Vince and how incredibly important it is to have that number one goalie, and the Bandits already looking ahead to the future, knowing we already broke it down on a draft show, but it doesn't seem like there's that many top tier goalie prospects that are going to be coming out in the next 3 years. And it seemed like Khan and Shoganosh were two of them, and I think there's maybe two left, and that's coming out all the way. I think they had it predicted till 2028. And yes, they're very young. Anything can happen. Goalies can pop up out of anywhere, but we've seen it in the NLL. There's 14 teams, and 14 teams don't have all-star goaltending. So really good to see them get ahead of this. Even with Evan C., they've liked what he did over the summer. They still, I think, believe in him, believe in his development. So we'll see where the battle ends up, but I still really like that they are throwing a lot of hats in the ring as far as goaltender goes. And that was one of the things I said pre-draft was, if they go in and get a goalie this year, I'm still happy with it because I want as many shots to get another Matt Vince or anything remotely close to another Matt Vince in the future as I can, and that's exactly what they went out and did, and very happy they did that.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of drafting a quarterback in the NFL. If you do not have one, draft one every year until you find one. That's what it is with the goalies. The last 5 championships, you know who the goalies were? Christian Del Bianco, Dylan Ward, 3 times Matt Vince. Those are 3 of the top goaltenders in the league. You're not winning a championship unless you have a top goaltender. Even if you want to look at the losers.
Right,
you had Frank
exactly.
Scigliano, Doug Jamieson, Dylan Ward. I mean, Matt Vince. If you do not have a top-tier goaltender, you're not even making it to the finals. That's just that plain and simple. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, we'll move on to the schedule here. Schedule was released on the 19th. We were going through our 2-part series, so we did not have time and didn't really want to break it down quicker than we had time for. But again, thank you for everybody listening to that 2-part series of Reliving the Past. It was a fun trip down memory lane. But we'll look forward to the 18-game schedule that is currently on tap and scheduled to be played. They got 13 Saturdays, 4 Fridays. 3 of those are at home, and then 1 Sunday, which is away. This season, Phil, thank God, 1 back-to-back. It's a home versus Saskatchewan on Friday night, and then they travel to Toronto, which is an away game on that Saturday. They got 4 bye weeks built in there. They play, and then they got a bye week, so we'll have to figure something out there. You know us with loving bye weeks. They play, bye, play, bye. It's going to be another fun start to the season. But they got 2 games versus Rochester, Colorado, Halifax, Saskatchewan, and Vancouver. Phil, what do all those teams have in common besides Colorado? They were the second place team last year, the third place team last year, the fourth place team last year, and the fifth place team last year. That's fun, right? I mean, playing the top team. As somebody that covers the team and loves the league, I love seeing good teams face good teams, so I'm happy about that. But man, did Buffalo get the short end of the stick? And I think Chugger even said it on the Last Class podcast last week.
He did.
It seems like Buffalo always draws the short end of the stick because everybody wants to play them because of the attendance. But man, this year, I don't know how they work the schedule or what it is, but whoo, doggy, that's a tough schedule they got coming up.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those years. I mean, I have full, well, I mean, to me, it still all depends on Matt Vince. Well, for this exercise, we will assume Matt Vince is coming back. And to me, this schedule this year could be one of those years where it's more focused on playoffs and less about the season having to play that many brutal teams that are all going to be fighting for first place. It's going to be extremely difficult, especially because a lot of those teams really, really don't like you because you just knocked them out of any chance of winning the finals last year. So that's just a gauntlet of a schedule. It is not easy whatsoever. Even Colorado, not going to be easy. They've given Buffalo plenty of problems in the past. So even Colorado is not one of the second, third, or fourth, or fifth place teams. Still not going to be cakewalk in your 2 games against them. So very, very difficult schedule. So if they end up similar to what we saw in our little flashback that we did, where they went 14-4 and then went 11-7, I want to say. It could be one of those years where the season is a little bit tougher, but it's all going to be focused on make playoffs, do your damage then, you know how to win, get to playoffs, figure it out. I'm not saying they can't get first place. I'm not saying they can't have an incredible season still, but that is a very, very challenging schedule. It's going to be quite difficult. I'm happy that their bye weeks, other than the very, very front, are a little bit more spread out this year. Last year it was all front loaded, and then they played just a massive amount of games toward the end of the season, which apparently they loved, and it proved it because they won the chip again. So they seem to like playing all these games in a row, and if that's what they like, go for it. But I'm happy they get at least one later bye. That early March bye, to me, is like just a good little breather before you're kind of finished the season and then push to playoffs at that point.
Yeah, so they start the season home versus Georgia, banner raising night. That one's going to be a fun one. Then they get to bye. They move home versus Halifax. So you get 2 playoff teams right off the bat here. Then you get another bye, and then Christmas week, you head out to Calgary on Sunday. And that's going to be an interesting game. We're going to have to adjust to our schedule on that one.
Yes.
But then you're home versus Las Vegas. And if you're a freak like me, you keep track of kind of stuff like this.
PK's upset.
I was very upset because me and Mike were planning on going to Vegas. The role of the unified standings was to do home, way, home, way, home, way. Vegas was here last year. Vegas is here this year. I think what happened was Panther City folding and them having to rework who you play twice affected this, and that's why Vegas is home, because you also have Philly home, and Philly was here last year as well. So those are 2 teams that you were supposed to be on the road for, are home for. So I'm guessing that next year you're going to be on the road in Vegas and Philly. But last year, again, you were on the road in Saskatchewan, but now you're facing them twice. So they're here and there. So I think a lot of it has to do with Panther City folding and then who you're facing twice, along with, and let me get your opinion on this, only Toronto once. And I think that a lot of that has to do with them just completely stinking last year, but Toronto not coming to Banditland at all feels very weird considering a couple years ago you faced them, 7 times? It's very strange to see Buffalo versus Toronto only once on the schedule, and that's in Hamilton.
Like you said, I mean, they sure had a bad season last year, but at the same time, if you look at who they're playing twice, other than maybe Rochester, I understand you just saw Saskatchewan and Vancouver in the playoffs, but I wouldn't necessarily consider them rivals. Like, yes, big picture, they're rivals, but they're not like the nitty-gritty rival from the North. Like, to me, still the number one rival for the Buffalo Bandits is Toronto. I don't think that's going anywhere. Even if Toronto had a bad season, they're supposed to rebound this year. So it is weird not seeing them twice because to me, think that's arguably the number one rivalry in all of the NLL. Whether they had a bad season last year or not, I think it's still extremely heated. And I think the fans from up north travel really well to Banditland to watch that game, and Banditland travels really well to go up north to watch that game when it's a home and home, and they play each other twice. So I am surprised to see them not on that. Also, that's going to be a brutal gauntlet for that one, home against Saskatchewan, which is nice to be home for that game, but then away in Toronto. That's quite the little weekend they got packed in for Buffalo. But yeah, it is kind of interesting and also to me disappointing not being able to see Toronto at home because that's always a really, really big game to enjoy the atmosphere for.
Yeah, what's also interesting is the longest homestand is 2 games. The longest away trip is 2 games. It's kind of in the middle. I mean, between game 7 and game 12, you're on the road 4 times, home 2 times. But yeah, I looking at the schedule, you're going to see the theme nights come out later on. Again, if you are a season ticket holder, and again, not getting paid for this, so maybe Buffalo should pat me on the back here, send me a check. You need to re-up your season tickets by Friday, the 4th, if you want to keep your seats. So make sure you do that. I'm talking to you in our group if you haven't re-upped yet. But looking at this, I am very excited for the schedule. I like all the different teams. You're traveling to Oshawa for the first time, so everybody that does travel, you're going to have to wait until the end of April to do it, but you get to travel there. You get Rochester twice. You get Calgary back there. But you are looking at the teams that you are going to have to face twice. And they are tough competition. Whatever the offense looks like in Colorado, whether Eli McLaughlin's back, Zed Williams isn't going to be there anymore, what does the defense look like? That's probably the easiest of the 5 games that you're going to be facing twice. You got Vancouver. What does their offense look like once free agency officially opens? Saskatchewan, that's going to be a very tough one. Halifax, what's their goaltender situation? Is Warren Hill back there? Then you get Rochester. With Zed Williams, is he going to be back in the lineup by the time Buffalo faces them? What does Hartley? Is Hartley coming in healthy? So I am, as a person that does content for this show and produces the content for this show, I'm excited because of the competition that's there, because that's a lot of talking points. And it would be a lot more different if you're facing Vancouver or Las Vegas twice. It would be different if you're facing Philly twice because they're kind of the bottom of the barrel. So whether if you're just a fan, you're looking at this, you're going, man, this is a really tough schedule. But us sitting on our seats, you want to see the Christian Del Biancos come here. You want to see the Zach Manns and the Robert Churches come here. You want to see the Clark Peterson and the Randy Stotts come here, and so on and so forth. So I am excited for this, whether it's a tougher schedule in the long run, yes, but I do love it, and I will say thank you for only 4 home games. Or 4 Friday games, I should say, because we only have to adjust our schedule 5 times because that's weird Sunday game. But yeah, we're going to be back with the Thursday shows when there is a Friday game, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the Rush's social media team twice. That'll be a good time. Yeah. And I am excited to see Christian Del Bianco back in Buffalo because he's really, really fun to watch. So that I am very excited about. Not thrilled about playing them twice. Don't really want to see them away. Would rather just play them home. But Saskatchewan social media team, jazzed to see them 2 times this year.
So that will wrap up this show. We kind of covered a little bit of everything. We got the game versus the Saints. We talked about that one. We talked about what our thoughts on the CBA are, even though it's just all rumors, and it's just our opinions on that. And then we went over the schedule. So we're kind of caught back up on everything. So on the next show, we got Bills versus Patriots. We're going to go over our 3 bold predictions for the Sabres, and we'll find something to talk about with the Buffalo Bandits. Then Phil's going to go on a hiatus for a week. I'm watching the Cats. And then we got a special elite guest filling in for Phil. That week he's going to be off. So the Wednesday, I think it's the 15th, so my deadline, we're going to have a special co-host that's joining me in that seat over there because I'm not going to Houston because John's moving. So he said, no, you're not allowed. But that wraps up the show. Phil, anything else before we shut it down for a week?
I had a big fantasy football trade. Excited to dissect it after this. That's all I got, though.
Yeah, congrats to you. Well wishes and warmest regards. There you go. So thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Thank you for suffering through my coughing spit that still tickle in the back of the throat. Thank you to that Tap Room for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Until next time. Bye-bye.